What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another office hours. Just getting all set up here, making sure that we're on each platform. I know I'm live on Twitch right now. Let me see about YouTube. Make sure that we're good to go on each platform. Let's see here. I believe we are. All right, so I've got both here. If you guys can hear me okay, please let me know in either one of those chats. That'll give me a little bit easier opportunity to see it. And then let me see here. Looks like we're good to go. Let me just go let everybody know in the Huddle Discord and be able to go from here. So let me see here, Huddle Discord. Let's go into here, let everybody know on office hours that we are live. And let me just grab this, throw it in here, and should be good. All right. So get those questions in, guys. If you can hear me, please let me know. I don't see any chatter yet on YouTube. Let me see if there's any chatter on Twitch. Nothing yet. I do see some people that are there, so that's nice. I got some people watching right now. So, like I said, if you can, just go ahead and give me just a mic check to make sure that you can hear me. Usually that's something I just want to get out of the way early so there's no issues and get into it. So, for those that are HuddleGG subs, please make sure you get your questions in the Discord, and we'll go ahead and answer those first. And for those that may be watching this that aren't, HuddleGG subs, then we'll go and answer your questions on YouTube or Twitch based upon when there's a little bit of a gap between questions. So want to make sure that we're good there. So looks like we're getting some questions coming in, which is great. Let's see here. Appreciate it, Josh Network. I appreciate you, first time viewer. Thank you for letting me know. And so I'll jump with this first one while we get some in our queue for Discord. This one comes off of the Twitch, and it comes from Guaranteed to Succeed. He's asking, out of the Houston empty scheme, cover 3 blitzes and cover 3 hard flats have been a little trouble. Any go-to plays? All right, so obviously that's an easy one for me to answer because this is what I do run. And so for cover 3, if you're talking any type of hard flats, this bench corner play is really good depending on which target you want to do. So I'll just go to hard flats, see if I can find one here. If not, I'll just put it on underneath coverage, but let's see if I can find hard flats by itself here. So let's see here. We'll just do cover 3 sky and we'll put underneath. All right. So we'll just back up a little bit, give ourselves some more room. And typically I like to, it doesn't really matter what side I run it on. I'll put this on the short hash. Okay. So cover 3 is basically something real simple. You just put the RB on a streak. You can smart route this A if you want. It can be a little bit shorter. And then typically against hard flats, this X is going to be really good. So I look X to Y basically. I mean X to A, because the X is going to come in, he's going to go out, and then it's just an easy throw right here, right? That hard flat's not going to do anything for him. Going to be pretty easy to use that to your advantage. And then you can also go to this tight end. Usually I have a better tight end there, but I didn't really adjust any of my packages, but we'll go ahead and show it to here. That tight end does a really good job as well to get to the outside, and you're going to be able to throw it to him. So hard flats shouldn't be too much of a problem. Just that play right there will do a good job against it. We've talked about fade out. This is a hard flat. Anytime they do fade out, you're going to see that you have the ability here to throw this X right behind that player. If they're not trying to be in any type of zones, you can see this. It works both sides of the field. I kind of like it better to the wide side, but when they do hard flats, they're telling them to go straight to the hard flat, right? So you do something like this where they go up the field, and now when he breaks, you still have that ability right there. Actually, that was bench corner. But what you'll see is that player will get open on fade out as well. Something like this to where he goes in, and then once he breaks to the outside, you're gonna be able to throw that ball. Unfortunately, I have that one guy there. That's because I'm playing underneath coverage. That hook curl is going to play it a lot better rather than calling hard flats. And if that's the case, what we'll do is we'll actually hit the tight end that comes across on fade out. Because your reads are basically X to A to B. So if you're looking at X and he's not open, now the A is going to get open right here, right? So if they're playing underneath coverage, they're just giving that up. So those are a couple plays out of empty, to help you with as far as cover 3 hard flats go. Let's see if there's any others that I can just kind of show you real quick. That'll work for you. Just from the Z under is going to be another one, just because of the way that it goes ahead and let's just do underneath coverage. You've got this nice tight corner out by the Y, and you'll see here that just wait for that guy to go to the outside, and you're going to be able to throw it to him pretty easily against cover 3. The only reason why those don't work is if somebody's in 25, yards as far as their zones. So if anybody's doing hard flats, you shouldn't have a problem. If you have to block people, then you want to go to a different formation, empty, because you can't block too much, as far as any extra blitzers at a stack. Then you go to Texan or you go to empty Y slot because you can block people. And then this fork play is one of the better plays out there when it comes to beating hard flats, because you're going to see that it's going to take the tight end and it's going to leave the RB pretty open, right? Takes the tight end, and now the RB is going to be really open over here. So those are a couple plays to go to if that's what you're struggling with, and you should be good there. All right, let me go into office hours here and see what we got, and see what we have for questions. Okay, so we can hear you well. Thank you, Shred. So Haji's asking about gun wing stack and run balance. What's a good setup for fade out in that formation? I'm gonna have to get out of this practice mode, and we'll go ahead and go load up run balance. For those who don't know, we just dropped our latest game plan today, and Haji's asking about run balance, which is a great segue. Nini is a pro player. He just went and won $15,000 in the last tournament. I believe he finished 5th. If I remember, he was in the top 8. And he basically gave us his offense. He gave us his offense before the tournament. We held it a little bit just because we wanted to make sure that his competitive, his edge wasn't taken away by giving everything that he does, because he didn't want to hold back on the content he gave us. So we just said, you know what, let's wait a little bit after your tournament and we'll put it out. And it's a great offense. It's under center. It comes out of the run balanced playbook, and it's a total of 4 formations. We broke down 2 this week, 2 next week. It's the Y off trio under single back, and then also the single back doubles flex that we went ahead and did this week. And then as far as what we're doing next week, we're going to be doing the single back trips and the ace double wing. What's great about that game plan is that it's under center. It works for last gen and basically next gen consoles, right? And also what it does is it goes ahead and it's a great run pass balance, right? It gives you the ability to run the ball out of every formation, gives you the ability to pass it out of every formation. You can dink and dunk, you can bomb, a lot of great stuff in there. And I think from what we've seen already, a lot of people are excited about it and have loved what it is. So I can see why Haji wants us to look at this. So let's go. I'm just going to pick I'll just pick the Bills, and we'll go ahead and go into it. Now, just so you know, it is called run balanced here, but sometimes it's called balanced run. It's depending on where you find it. So just want to make sure you know that. And we'll go ahead and pick it up. So yeah, under center offense, to be honest with you, is something that we really wanted to get on the website because we wanted to make sure that we had as much balance on there as possible. And when I went ahead and looked out there in the community, who was doing it the best, it was Nini. And Nini has been one, he's been doing this for years. And I wanted the guy who's been doing it for a while, who knows everything about it, and is not meta, and basically has the best success out there in non-meta offenses, right? So real excited for him. and what he brings to the table. And we'll go ahead. So the question by Haji was, fade out, gun wing stack, what would I do with this play? If you want to be a little bit more specific, Haji, on what you want out of it, is it just, hey, what do you see? What would you want to use it for? I could go that route with it. If you just want to say, I want to beat a certain coverage, we can definitely look into that as well. Typically with these type plays, there's a couple different things. First thing, let's just take a look at what you can do on this thing, right? So if you have the ability to motion, you want to see what you can motion, right? So you can motion this running back only one way. Can you motion this guy over? You can. So we just want to make sure what we can do when we look into any play. I've given this before as a tip. You always want to go through these and you want to see which way you can motion people. See, this is kind of a hidden motion that you can get your tight end out to the right, right? So you want to make sure you've got all the ideas in your mind when you're doing it. I want to see what I could do with this formation before I jump into it. What are the motions that I can do? And then say I can't go, I can go left with this guy. Let's see if I can go right with this guy. Okay, I can go right with this guy as well. And then, and this is a formation I've been in, but you go in and out of formations all the time. So what you want to do is basically make sure that, you get a reminder, right? So this guy can go this way. And I know this is kind of, something that, this is kind of a chore to do, but until you know what you're dealing with, it's hard to know, what plays you can put together, right? So this is really nice. It can all go in different ways, right? So let me back this up, and it'll give me better ideas of how I want to lab this when we're doing it. So this is a first time labbing. I can take you through kind of my procedures, and this is kind of a nice little thing that if you guys are doing it, what it is. So Haji's looking for a base play. When we say base plays, I want to make sure you guys understand, we're looking for a setup that you can call that's going to give you basically success against any, basically any coverage that you see, as long as you make your progressions, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at it. My first thought is, let's look at it from, a standpoint of a few things, right? Diggs, do you see how tight that wheel is right now? Diggs has great route running. So if I go and put a player that has a little bit less route running there, what ends up happening is he runs that route a little bit different. At least that's the way it doesn't stack. So I want to check that real quick as well. I want to make sure that you understand that a lot of times I put a running back there just because I know that in this situation, he's going to have lesser route running, and usually it doesn't matter, right, where you have him. So let's just check that out real quick. I want to make sure that, see if that route changes to where it's a little bit wider, because he just doesn't have as much of a cut. And that's important to me to know. So I'm just going to check that out real quick before we jump into blabbing it a little bit. And these are things that you should check yourself. See how that route is much wider now, because Breda doesn't have the ability to really do it. So doing that helps you know, like against cover two, this should be a pretty easy cover two beater, right? I'm going to just hike it right real quick and see how it works against cover two to start off with. The guy goes wide, step up in the pocket. Unfortunately, we got a little bit of a pressure there, but I like what I see out of that. And I also like what I see when we move him out. You're going to be able to hit that guy over there. So, an easy cover two starter is something like this. And you're going to see that you're going to have that, that Y is going to be a really nice route. He gets over to the outside, and you should be able to beat that guy pretty easily over there. So I kind of start off with, let me look at the routes. Let me see what I'm doing, right? So now the next question is, do we need to have that X on a streak in order to make that cover two work, right? So I go through all my progressions, go through all my my coverages and say, what do I actually need? I know that the X is going to go ahead and hold that player in the middle, but what if I don't need it, right? So that's what my next thing is, right? So let's see what happens, right? Do I need it? And it doesn't look like I need it. Unfortunately, this pass rush is killing me right now. And that's what stinks about practice mode sometimes, to be honest with you, is that, the sheds are just ridiculous. And I picked the Bills that don't have a great O-line, but it is what it is, right? So I step up in the pocket, and you can see here, I can still make this throw. I don't need a pull route. And that's something that I can check off my box. Okay, now I know I don't need a pull route, right? So here we go. So I would do something like this to start off with, right? So I know that I've got a cover two beater over there if I use this. Now let's go to cover three and see, can I hit my X up the seam if I leave it like this, right? Does it go like this? Can I throw this ball right here? And for the most part, yes, right? I could throw that on the outside break. I'll check it on, regular coverage. I'll check it against, hard flats. And usually with hard flats, sometimes you get a little bit change if you play underneath coverage by the vert hook. So let's go to cover 3 real quick and see with the underneath route. And we're going to see here, we got this guy goes over here, and see how he went ahead and he played it a little bit better. So that's something I need to know as well and kind of, adjust to that. And another thing I want to show you is if you look at this tight ends route right here, he's an option route. So because he's an option route, I want to see what he does against cover 3, and you can see that he's running the fade, right? So just something to keep in mind. So these are things that I'm doing when I'm in my mind, when I'm testing something. I'm looking at it and what is out there, what can I look at, what can I build off of, the whole 9 yards, right? And then you have your thoughts on different things, right? So the next thing I want to test is, does this work against cover 2? Can I easily go ahead and use that to my advantage? And so let me see if I can get this B to go across the field here and throw this ball over here. And for the most part, you can, right? You have to time it pretty well. It's the short side of the field. So what I want to do is I want to move this over to the other side of the field and say, can I get this wheel to, if I motion him out, beat cover 2 there and still get the Y to beat cover 2? So now I'm trying to see is, do I have cover 2 to both sides? And I'm just going through all my checklists, right? See, that time you can see here that it didn't work as well because the guy actually made me go to the inside. If you notice that, I want to know what I'm working with, right? So if you see this guy goes up here, and when he cuts, he actually forced me to the inside. See how he got hit? That's no good. So we know that it only works to the one side. So for me, I'm not looking at this and saying I'm really doing any cover 3 bombs. I see that I have my cover 2 pretty set up, and I want to make sure I go back over here so I can kind of look at this a little bit better. But for the most part, I'm going to probably work on something. If I had any type of, route chems, we could definitely look at it differently. But for the most part, what I would see myself doing is potentially putting out this A on a flat and doing this screen, the wheel screen over here to the right that I like against cover 3 and cover 4, to where if you're in cover 3 or cover 4, do something like this to where I got 2 blockers out there and I'm just going to catch it and throw it. And now I've got these guys that are in my way and I'm going to get myself 7 or 8 yards, but knowing I still have the cover 2 beater to the left in case I see cover 2. So if I could look at this and say, all right, as long as I don't see cover 2, I'm going to go ahead and hit my RB, right? See, oh, it's cover 2. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to be able to throw this ball over here pretty easily. So a lot of times I'm just setting up myself up with a 1-2 read. And in this instance, this is probably a play that I would run, right? It's just a ability here to smoke screen it to the right. And then we did notice that I don't have to do any motion. So I can motion this guy over and now I can get a little bit better in that regard. If I want to, I can put this guy, the X is a free player at this point, right? So you can definitely do it that way. If you can do it, I might put him on an inside route like this, because if I get the user to have to jump to the right for the screen, I want to have a backside player. So say this guy, we're in cover 3, and this guy right here is the user, and he sees that guy goes to the right. I want to make sure that I give myself another option, right? So this guy goes speeding over there. I want to be able to throw it to that player. So for the most part, this is how I'd break down a play, how I would go through it. And then I have to test, right? I go into a game and I say, okay, this is going to be what I think is going to be my setup. I'm going to move this guy over. I'm going to put the X on a smart routed in. I'm going to put the A on a flat and the RB on a wheel. So this is what I'm doing. I go into game, and what you're going to see is, okay, I placed cover 2. It worked exactly the way I wanted. I faced cover 3, cover 4, exactly what I wanted. But when I faced cover 3 and maybe they did a Mabel on the right side, I struggled on it. So then I go back to the drawing board and I said, okay, what can I do differently on this play to make sure that I beat everything? And then when I go through all that, I go into, that's when I get my final setup. And that's what you guys see when it comes to game plans, right? So it starts in the practice mode, then it goes into the game. It lets me try it in a game, and I'll run this play 10 times in a row. And I don't care that they don't like it, but what I'm doing is I'm just testing it, and then I go from there. So hopefully, Haji, that answered a question for you as far as a base play. I kind of took a little bit, further on this just because I wanted to make sure that you guys knew how I go and break down my plays and what I do, my thought process, and kind of what it is. But we had to do all that to get to one play, and then we build off of that, right? So when I build off that, what I would do is I would go into, say, other plays, and you say, you know what can I do that I like on other plays where I have the same motion? And that's important to me, where I have the same motion, because that way they don't know it's always the same play. So that's now what you're going to do is you go from developing a play you want to build around and now scheming around it. And scheming meaning not only is it, hey, if I do this play and this is the adjustment that they're doing, what play do I want to call behind it? And it's also, how do I do plays that look the same so they don't know what's coming next? And that's basically how it was. So appreciate it, Haji. Definitely wanted to kind of see what, at least, in a 5-minute labbing session, that would be something that I would run. And then I would scheme around that with other plays. And I'm sure I would do different things on that play if I had some more time. But at least that's something that, at least, jumping in and giving you off the cuff, that's what I would do. All right, let me see if there's any other questions here. Can mid blitz be adjusted to more viable as your base defense during the game? So 6x sickness, I think mid blitz is actually really good. And it's just like anything in 2-4-5 odd. And I'll go ahead, not odd, but 2-4-5 double A gap. And let me just see if I have it here. I do, okay. So mid blitz, what's good about mid blitz is, and I'll just go call anything here. Is that it shows the threat of blitzing every time, right? So what does that mean? Basically, it means that they have to basically either throw the ball quickly or they have to block extra people, because if they don't do one or the other, they're getting sacked. So I like to do this a lot, where I use the shell and then I change things from the shell, right? So say I want to do a cover 2, I'm doing something like this, right? And now I've got a cover 2 shell. And I keep the player that is already manned up on that player. So that way, all I have to worry about at this point is if the 2 players in the inside are going vertical, and I cover that player going vertical, right? If you want to take it one step further, you could always put this player in the mid third. And what you're doing is you're giving the same look every single time, but you're adjusting the shell behind it. And when it comes up on previous play, it's showing that it's mid blitz, right? So in their mind, they're thinking, I'm getting mid blitzed every time. Sometimes you do it this way. Sometimes you take this cloud and you put them in a hard flat, because what you're going to end up seeing a lot of times, like, if it's something like this to where they're doing like a levels concept, you want the hard flat to be taken away, and then you can go ahead and cover the other player, right? So something like this where they do that. Now I'm coming underneath this A, and you're basically changing your defense to match what you want them to do. If you stood in mid blitz all game long, a good player is going to have offense, have man beaters, have quick man beaters to get you out of it. But if you stay in mid blitz but adjust off of it, that's where you're going to be in good shape, right? So there's a difference between calling mid blitz and calling cover 2 because of the alignment, right? So what I mean by that is I call that same play. I'm just going to make sure you see it. And say I call nickel dog 2, right? Which is essentially what I just made. You're going to see that the alignment's different, and people are going to know that it's not mid blitz. So what you want them to do is you want them to fear that it's mid blitz because they're man aligned, and then you go ahead and you change it from there. It's more of a disguised look, and you just have to get a little bit quicker with basically making sure that, see how they're different here, and making sure that you are, you can do the shell pretty easily before they even get to the line. And you're doing something like this, right? Like I'm changing it up this time because, I'm doing it to where, I know that I'm going to cover the back right side of the field. If you mix things up and you mix things, the way you do it, then you have that ability. So in this instance, all I'm doing is I know that I got to go to the back right. If nobody's back right, I can come down and do it, right? So if you just give them different looks, you can use it. And that's with pretty much any defense. I find that if you, like in my 3-3-5 Sam, I'll base out of Overstorm Brave a lot and switch up my zones. And that way it's always the same look. They don't know if I'm playing man. They don't know if I'm playing zone. They don't know which zone I'm playing. And I'm just doing a lot of backside adjustments. And I think you see that a lot from pros as well, is that you hardly ever see a stock coverage because they're trying to, bait you in different looks or make you have to hold on the ball longer before the pressure gets there. All right, let me see here. Wide receiver coach, he's asking if we're doing anything that's for any of them that run 4-3. He's in a CFM, and all three of his linebackers have mid-zone knockout. As of right now, wide receiver coach, we don't have anybody or myself working on a 4-3 game plan, but that doesn't mean that's not something in the future. I don't, it's really about the state of the game. It's really about what it is. Right now, at least for most people, a lot of people are more into spreading it out, running bunch, running trips, running, U trips, even, anything that's pass friendly. So being able to base out of a 4-3 is tough against those formations, just because you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage in the pass game. So we try to do what's best for the most amount of people. However, getting a 4-3 game plan is not a bad idea to help out where, you're in nickel. If somebody wants to, be run heavy, being able to do stuff like that. But it's just not something that we have, really at this point, looked into as much, just because there hasn't been as much of a need for it. But if we do have that person that says, I'm doing that, a pro's doing it, or we have somebody that wants to take on that task and we can get it on the website, we're more than happy to do so. But we try our best to please the most amount of people possible. Just as a reminder, guys, if you guys don't know how this is, and this is the first time watching this, our office hours are based out of our Discord for our HuddleGG subscribers to the website. We answer all those questions first. Once that queue is basically dry and there's no questions to answer, we jump over to the Twitch platforms. We jump over to YouTube. So if I'm not answering your question, it's just because I haven't gone over there. I can only really have one thing up at a time for me. And then once I'm done with questions there, I'll jump over. So feel free to put your question there, but just don't be discouraged if I don't get to it right away, just because this is supposed to be a benefit for our subscribers first, and then we make it available for everybody to watch it. Let's see here. I agree, 50K Re, Nini is so underrated. Nini's one of the best players out there. I'm going to be honest and truthful with you. When I lab with a lot of people, and you can tell who has really got into their craft and learned it. And you could see just in our first update, there was 31 videos, right? So somebody who's off meta, that runs a bunch of stuff, likes to mix it up, and then he's got his other stuff. I'm a fan of that, because I'm a fan of being able to be ahead of the defense by not having them know kind of what I'm doing, because it's not something they faced before, and it gives you a lot of options. So Nini is definitely great. I think anyone who hasn't checked out the game plan yet, go do it. I think you guys will have a lot of fun in it. And anyone that's interested in potentially coming onto the site for something that's under center, it's a great opportunity too, because I think that you guys are going to have amazing success with it. Not only this week, but we're going to have an update next week that you can put those two together. Let's see if there's any other question. ALL Jim P, I think that the question may have been asked for you as far as a faster way to do hot routes if you don't do conductor. I think we put a link in there. What that basically is in that link is there's an order of operation of doing things in order to get the most efficiency before you get to the line of scrimmage. And I believe I want to say it was either Trey or Clef did a video on it for it this year, that basically just says, hey, you need to do this, then this, then this, then this. And that way, if you do it in this order, you're going to be able to hike the ball quicker than if you got to the line of scrimmage and messed up the order. So definitely check out that video. I know it's a YouTube video, so anyone who's watching this, you can definitely go through our archives. And I think it says how to correctly quick hike, something to that degree, and you'll be able to watch that video. Let's see here. So Ray, you really don't have to 335 Sam. If you're worried about the run, you don't really have to gap shoot. I'll just show you what I do. And I'm telling you, nobody runs on me at a 335 Sam when it comes to typical bases or inside zones from shotgun, because of the fact that, let me just go, it doesn't really matter. I'll do Bucks and I'll do Detroit. basically because of the fact that you've got the ability to blitz those A gaps pretty easily. So let me just go to let me think real quick of a team that, or not even a team, just basically a someone that has a lot of formations. I guess the Steelers have enough formations I can do it out of, or Seahawks. Let's just go Seahawks. Okay, so out of 3-5 Sam, you guys have seen our blitzes. You've seen some of the stuff, whatnot. You can basically set up a lot of stuff the same way. And I'm going to go to Overstorm Brave so you can see it. And I'll just go into, we'll start off with something like Trip Sweep, right? So inside zone. If you go ahead and and pinch the entire defense, crash down, right? Then what I do is I'll take this player and I'll sit behind here, because in this instance, I'm going to make sure if he runs a route with the running back, I'm going to get him. But if he doesn't, it helps me basically scrape around the side if they take it outside. But with this alignment, the good majority of the time, the linebackers are going to blow it up. You can see here that I actually got hit right there myself. I should be the one scraping, but it's going to leave a big hole for you if they don't do it. So let me just try it again here just to make sure that I show it. I go over here, and if you do this, and you go over this way, and you can see how I'm just going to be able to hit that hole pretty easily, because everybody has to pinch down to basically, get those players, right? So here as a user, you're saying, does the running back go out? If he doesn't, then I'm going to go, okay, no problem. I'll go this way with it. And I'm going to be able to just to close that down pretty easily. Now, it works with base as well. It really doesn't matter with base. You're getting a pulling guard, but you got to remember that we're sending 4 people right at that player. So let me see if I can find base out of here somewhere. I think, let me go to bunch. I can't remember what's in what. Here's bunch, okay? So you got to remember you're taking 4 guys, and when I say 4 guys, it's this box right here. And you're sending them at 3 players, right? And the guard's coming, and he's basically, pulling to the right. And what's going to end up happening is that the guard is just going to typically get caught in the mud, which holds everything down, right? So you do something like this, and you can see how we're just able to just blow it up. I'm telling you, when it comes to running, people don't run out of shotgun versus me, just because, it's just one of those deals that if you see that this guy's coming, all right, now we're going to go and we're going to break it down, just because we're forcing all the blockers to go inside, allowing our ability to go and do it this way, right? So, and it's kind of like, wait, all right, let's go in here. That's how obviously I missed it, but you're going to see that even with that Bo Jackson card, he never gets activated, because I'll be able to blow that up, enough. Let me see if there's another formation that we can kind of show this out of as well. Say trips offset. Let's go to inside zone. So we do a trip set right here, and it's going to be very similar, right? You just do this, and you got to take the player that's on the running back side that's there. You put them over here, and then when they run this way, you're going to see here that you're just going to be able to kind of force them inside or blow it up. So just in general, that is an easy way to stop any shotgun run. When it comes to other runs, you don't want to play it that way, just because, like, when I say other runs, meaning under center runs, right? And that's where you want to kind of spread everybody out. So I'll show you what I mean. So say strong, I guess we'll just do something like this, where I'm looking for some type of stretch, maybe like a wing slot stretch, like a halfback stretch, okay? So in this case, if you do this, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, right? Because what they're doing is they're running, and they're going to go to the outside. So when they see the outside, you really got to go all the way out here. But you can see that you're trying to force them to the inside by taking the outside run, right? So if you look what happened here, you're going to see that you don't want to go inside here, because your guys are going to help you the inside. You want to make sure you go to the outside. And that's really going to stop a lot of your stretch runs as well, right? There's other ways to where you can spread your line and pinch your linebackers, right? And then do that. And in this case, what you'll see, and I'll basically make sure that I go outside with it, a lot of times what you'll see is that you have that ability just to kind of fill that gap, because your guys are filling every other gap. So sometimes you just have to understand that you don't have to play everything. You just got to know what your guys are going to play and how you can support the hole that you're not able to do. So hopefully, Ray, that helped you when it came to 335 Sam. It's less of a gap shoot. It's more of let your guys, your aggressive linebackers do their work, and then you can do your work by, you know, basically finishing. So hopefully that's that. The 1B, I did not see your question. Is there's a lot of chatter in office hours, guys. If you can just help me out by not you know, going back and forth as much. If this way I can just see the questions, because the questions get lost. So the 1B is asking, I've seen the video earlier about not being able to stop the deep bomb. Were you able to try outside thirds with the safeties? I see that to see if that stops it. Okay. So I know what he's talking about. Let me just go back this up. I think I could probably, I don't know if I can use this, but I will definitely see if I can. I might have to get out of this. So what he's saying is we released a video. Spruce Goose did a really nice job on a video, which basically talks about a style bomb that's out there. We actually taught it really early in the year, and it's in our what's it called, our route combo Bible, and it's just starting to pick up a little bit more. But it's basically a bomb in which let me see if I could find what I'm looking for here. The style is having basically a deep post, and then I'll do the PA crossers from trips offset, right? And let me see. Let's look at it real quick here. So here's an SS nickel. Let me just double check to see if I can do it here. And I think what he is saying is, let me just read it real quick. I have to go back up. Where was it? Outside thirds from the safeties. So let's do a cover 2, I think is what he was referring to. And then if I take my nickel corner, let me just flip it and put him on a outside third to the right. So he's saying something like this, I believe, or maybe it's on the other side. We'll check both ways, right? So you're going to be, as a user, you're going to be able to have to cover the middle of the field yourself, right? And what you're doing is you're saying you're putting the Y on a streak, the B on a slant, and blocking your player. I'm not going to worry about my user right now, just because I'm in the trying to do 2 different controllers here. But you're going to see, let's see if that outside guy gets back there. So the outside third from that player will not get back there on that side. You see how he got down? Let's go the other way with it. See if he wants to do it on the same side. And the same side guy, Y, and then, I have to do it on this side in order for it to work? That's weird. So let's do it to where, yeah, that's not going to work. Please help me, clarify if I'm not doing what you're asking me to do, because it doesn't look like this is going to work the way you want it to. Outside third, both safeties. Okay, I see what you're saying. So outside right this way, outside right left. So you're saying to do it this way. I got you. And what I'm just going to do with this player, just because he's an extra player, I'm going to put him over here. I'm just going to put him on a vert hook, because that's what he's supposed to be in. It doesn't really matter. Let's put him on a mid read. Okay. So we would have the thing. So you're saying outside third, both guys. Let's see how that works. And see how that safety still comes down. So it really doesn't work, to be honest with you. I've seen it with outside quarters. I've seen it with outside thirds. All those guys are going to come play the slant. So in this instance, I'm still doing it. If you see, the A is going to be on a outside third to the right, and the L is going to be LB outside third to the left. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to take this LB and do outside third to the right, and see if he goes this way, and see if that helps anything. And I'll just put this X on a deep half, and then see if we can help out by doing it this way, right? So let's just check it out. The question was there. I might as well have time to do both. And what you'll see here, you'll see, does he go outside third? See, again, he just doesn't play that spot. So the tip that was done, if you guys haven't seen our YouTube video, I definitely want to make sure you do. Check it out. The tip was basically to, which I think it works best in cover 4, to be honest with you. Like a cover 4 drop. So let's go to a dime Actually, it doesn't really matter. I'll do it out of, I don't really have the way here. So I'll do it out of cover 4 palms. Let me see here. And then I'm going to protect the sticks. I'm going to take this A and I'm going to match it, or not match them, but to cross man them, right? And what you'll see on the cross man is that guy's going to pick that X up and see how he covers him across the field. So it does become a thing right there. I will tell you though that I've done this in the past with crossman. The lower you put your player, the better that they're going to do when it comes to doing it. So I'm going to suggest taking this guy, cross-manning on the X, and move him down about 5 yards. Okay? And when you do that, what's going to end up happening in that regard is that he's going to meet that player at a different point. And a lot of times he's going to play it better. So all I did was move them from the top safety, move them down 5 yards. Let's see how he does here. That time he rounded it out way too much. Maybe I put him down too far. Let's move him down a little less. Excuse me. But typically speaking, if you do this to where maybe I'll just do him about 5 yards. There's a spot where if you, depending on the athleticism of your safety, depending how the speed is, his agility, change of direction, the whole 9 yards, that it tends to work better when you're a little bit closer. Let's just see if this was the right spot for him. And you can see how that's just going to be a throw that, from a standpoint of you have a guy in the vicinity. And I think that's really what you want to do, right? At that point, you can go ahead, if you get yourself an athletic player there, if you're worried about this, you can also put a corner in this spot and you can see, that you're going to be able to do it. But this bomb is definitely something that a lot of people are doing and a lot of people are having problems with. I'm going to try this out of the bunch tight end. Drini put that video out not too long ago as well, and on our YouTube channel. Definitely make sure that you guys are subbing to that YouTube channel if you haven't already. It's between Clef and Drini, Spruce Goose, myself, Pick'em. There's a lot of good stuff that we put out there for free to make sure that you guys have things to to kind of ponder and add to your game. So I want to make sure that you guys know that that's there. Let's see here. So let's just do palms again. I'm going to protect the sticks, and I'm going to take this guy. I'm gonna man him up, right? So let's see how this works out of this play. And now you could do it from this spot. I prefer to do it where this guy's a little bit more wide, just because it just has a little bit better success. And you can see how, even though this guy does beat him, I mean, that's about 2 yards, but DK's probably got at least 5 speed on him. So if you're playing in a situation to where someone does that, just put a corner out there and you're going to be fine. I mean, this tip is really good when it comes to making sure they don't have anything wide open without hurting the rest of your defense. So definitely check that out, guys, if you haven't already. Spruce Goose definitely goes into more detail than I'm going right now, but that was a solid tip to be able to, plug it in and, be able to use that to your advantage for that type of style bomb. Let me see if there's any other questions here that I'm missing. So Carter asked about what playbook that Nini runs. He runs the, it's called Run Balanced. And then in some spots, it's called Balanced Run. You know how we're, the playbooks that are, I can't think of the word, the alternate playbooks, sometimes they have different names, kind of like pass balance and spread and all that type of stuff. So you're looking for run balance or balanced run. Those are the two. So in game, you're going to see it in run balance, but I know on our, I think there's a possibility that you see it in MUT as balanced run. I'm not sure, but I know that it's 2 different names. Let's see here. Looking like I'm kind of running out of questions. If I missed yours in the Discord, please going ahead and put it back into the office hours, so that way I could definitely go back and read it. I just might have got it missed when I was scammed over. I'm going to go to the other platforms now and see if I have some questions that need to be answered and kind of go from there. All right. I haven't been able to play the patch yet, Gunner. He's asking about the RPO glitch. I was finishing up Nini's game plan, and then obviously jumped onto here. So I'll definitely be looking more into it to see, with patches and title updates, what they intend to fix and, how much they fixed of it. And, what's the remainder is all stuff we have to test just to make sure. So, I've seen some good things on Twitter about the update. It sounds like you're having some issues, stopping it right now. So I don't know, what's going on with that yet. So once we have a little bit more time, a little bit more tonight, I'll test the title update to make sure that what got done was intended, and I'll pass that information from what I find to the subs and whatnot. Let me see if there's any other questions. WD MVP, you're saying, do you have to protect the sticks to crossman? No, you don't. The only reason why I was protecting sticks when I was telling you that was because I wanted to do a cover 4, but I didn't have a cover 4 drop to go to. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to call cover 4 palms, and I protected the sticks to cut off match, and then it plays like cover 4. So typically speaking, you don't have to protect the sticks to crossman, but I was just doing it to basically cancel the match in that regard. Let me see if there's any other questions here I can see. Reading some of these. So Vernon's asking, what's my thoughts on auto flip? I feel like auto flip is pretty essential when you're playing 3 wide receiver type of formations, because you want your nickel to align the majority of the time on the slot receiver, in order to make sure that you've got, because if you're playing with a slot receiver, you're going to get more flood concepts that way on corners, on out routes. You want to have your nickel there rather than your safety that comes down like in a cover 3 situation. If you're playing, if you're using different coverages that don't require, that, like if you're in a cover 2 where the guy's going to be in a vert hook and the other guy's going to be a vert hook, having that vert hook over that slot corner is good for a redirect. But if you're playing, I guess the other question is if you're playing a lot of coaching adjustments where you're taking that away, there's less reason to do so. So it's really about the style of defense. I personally play with auto flip on because I want to make sure that my nickel corner will do that. There's also times where you're playing somebody that's flipping their play every down, and you got to flip with them. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth with when is auto flip good, not. But for the most part, as a rule of thumb, I do auto flip. If I'm playing somebody who's got like an I form, then you kind of look at it and say, what do I want to do with, where do I want my nickel corner to line up? Maybe I want him to line up to the wide side of the field because he only runs to the wide side of the field. I want the extra player over there. There's a lot of different things that you want to, think about. And in that case, you would want to take auto flip off so you can put where you want your player to be prior to the snap. So my thoughts on it is good in some situations. You just have to think, what is my opponent doing and how do I adjust accordingly in order to make sure that I have my people in the right spots? All right, let me just double check to see I don't have any other questions here before I go back. So Javonta is asking about best way to attack escape artist quarterbacks. If you haven't already, the Dime 236 game plan that Pick'em did really talks about how to contain your quarterbacks a lot better with formations. The Dime 236, I'm happen to be in it, so we'll talk about it here in a second. I'll just pick anything. I'll call cover 6, right? And say I'm doing somebody that's doing a lot of rolling out per se, right? That's just really he's doing something that's rolling out. This formation itself, when you spread your linebackers and you contain them, look how wide those linebackers are, right? So in order for them to get blocked in a formation like this, what ends up happening is those tackles have to get really wide And if you have the ability to have some fast players off the edge, you're going to get outside leverage every time. And if the quarterback runs out, those guys are going to get released, right? So sometimes it's about putting the right formations on the field in order to have the most success. And this is one of them, right? So if I'm in an offense like this, and I'm going to go like this to where I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to get outside, this guy just ran right into me, right? Obviously, I've got some type of, I don't know, agile extender, whatever the case is. But if I leave that pocket too quickly, look how quickly that guy came off of it because of how wide. Watch how outside he has outside leverage right now, right? If he's got outside leverage, as soon as I get to the point where he's going to release him, you're going right into that player. So it really depends on what it is. I'm going to go ahead and wait this time and not just run to the outside and kind of show you that as well. So I'm doing like this. I'll go ahead and on offense, and I'm also going to pass commit just to make sure that, got everything in the right spot. I'm going to wait. See how those guys are getting released? And they get released for two reasons. One, you're dropping back too far, or two, you're going too far outside of the pocket. Those guys are going to release. So just by having the right, outside thing, and this is what Pick'em went over in his Dime 236, game plan that he did, to where he basically talked about how to play match behind it, how to do different things. But one of the things that you may forget, this is kind of a reminder for everybody, there's always hidden gems in every single game plan that we do. Maybe you don't want to play under center, but if you want to watch Nini's game plan, because there might be something that you can adapt to your own game. You may not want to be in dime 236, or maybe you don't want to be in match coverage, but you could say, what other formations can I look at to get that same alignment in order to make sure that I get this? Or can I go look at something different to make sure that I get this alignment? I need to use this in my own game because I really like this, but I don't want to get out of this playbook or whatever the case is. So always read and go through all of our game plans each week, because like I said, the hidden gems in there are amazing that you may not think that you wanted to learn, but you learned, and it's like an aha moment, right? And this is one of them. Just being in the right formation goes a long way, right? So in this case, I'm doing this. I'm going to wait. I'm trying to go. Now I have to step up in order to not have that guy released. So for escape artists, that's one of the deals. Right now, if they want to, maybe they move this guy in, and now they have this guy over here to where he's a little bit, wider, and we're going to block him. But the problem is that, if we block him, now you've got, and I'm going to try to double team now, right? I'm just trying to show you different things that they can do, right? And why can't I? Yeah, here's double team. I can't double team the right player. I want to make sure you understand that. That's another bonus when it comes to 236. You can't double team the outside player. So a lot of people like to do the double teams in order to secure themselves the opportunity to get it. You can't do that against Dime 236. They're too wide. So just another tip. And when you see that, I hike the ball. I'm trying to get over here. He got double teamed that time, and I'll show you why, even though we weren't able to double team him. And let's go ahead and look at it. Because we didn't have a second player that came to that spot. So if we do this. Now, if I want to make sure that that's the case, I'm going to take my user and stand over here. So now that the guard's going to basically target differently. Sometimes it's not about what you do with the players. It's about what you do with the user in order to make the guy target differently, in order to say, you know what, I want to make sure that this guy, so see now the target, I didn't do it the same way, but I want to make sure that you understand that sometimes it's about, how do I go ahead and say, I don't want that guy to get double teamed. I want that guy to look at me and not have a free player to that side. And then it works out. So hopefully that answers your question, Javonta. It's basically, how I look at it. And, sometimes you can, like I said, if you just go through our game plans and on defense, even if you're not really looking to run that specific thing, because maybe you love, you love the Patriots defensive playbook, and we come out with, a formation that may not be in there, that doesn't mean that you can't learn something from it and to apply to what you're doing already. And that's why it's so valuable to have a subscription, is because we do drop, game plans, early in the year, it's every week, and then we go to bi-weekly from here on out, and you can learn something from every one of them, even if it's not catered to what you're doing in your current playbook or whatever the case is. Let's see if there's any other questions. that I can answer real quick. Let me just go to all the platforms. Let's see here. I think I'm good on most of the questions that I'm seeing in these other platforms. Please make sure that if you guys have any questions to put them in there. I'm more than happy to answer those. Obviously, I'm going to the Discord first, and then we'll go from there. Anyone that's in the Discord, please let me know if I missed your question. That is, definitely, something I want to make sure that I don't do. Sometimes when there's a lot of, questions in chatter, I don't get to see every little question that get hidden. So let me know if there is anything there. Let's see that. So Droopy asked about when people drop all their linemen and kind of do what people call 4th and goal defense, to where they're basically going against people that are putting as much resources in the field, right? The way I see it with that, one, depending on what formation you're in, you're definitely going to want to try to run against it. Obviously, everybody knows that you have to keep 3 players, basically to not get, and you could do what is called a run commit glitch and all that type stuff. But for the most part, you want to make sure that you have the ability to run in one of those, right? So when people are dropping all those players, you got to think of it in conceptual, right? What defenses help that? And a lot of times you're going to get very similar to what a cover 4 shell is going to look like, right? Cover 4 shell drops 8. And if you drop another person, say you drop 9, they can really only do a certain amount to really, to cover the field. And there's going to be holes that are going to kind of show you, what you're looking for. It's just more about the different timing. So let's just say we're doing something like this where they're in cover 3 sky. And I'm just going to pick, it doesn't matter any play, but I want to talk about the defense part of it, right? Conceptually, this is something that somebody would do to cover the most things possible, right? So if you look at it here, what they're trying to do is they're trying to cover the both underneaths with the hard flat. The curl flat will most likely be at a range of between 20 and 25. The hard flat's between 0 and 5. So they're going to leave the outside middle open. So out routes are going to still work. You're going to find routes that are going to go in between those 2 players, right? The same thing on the left side. Now, the hook curls are intended to basically cover, underneath. Now, what ends up happening here, they're still susceptible to whatever covered shell they have if they're doing bomb plays. So a lot of times what people end up doing is they'll do something like this so that way they can go ahead and they'll do something where maybe they'll put this guy in a middle third, maybe this guy in a middle, I'm just going to basically, do this to where they're helping themselves where they don't get bombed, and then they put this guy in a, I have the 3 guys on there, either or. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that 2 things. The bomb coverage is usually pretty open still because people are still worried about all the underneath stuff. That's why they do that. So you can go for your bombs. And if they don't, what you want to do is know that most of the time, if they're doing double Mabel, they're going to leave the middle of the field open. So you can still attack in the middle of the field unless they put more, people into, coverage there. So what I would do in this situation, I'll just show you, start with flood out of bunch. It's probably the easiest, play to kind of show it to you so you understand, where they're going to be open. And bunch is basically, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show this too well because I don't have zone drops. But say like this, right? This route here, let me just move this over to this side, is going to be in a spot where they really shouldn't put any zones. And I mean by that is, if you're doing this, what you're trying to do is you're trying to take away any type of crossers. So you want those curl flats to be 25 to 30, right? You want to take the hard flats, you want to do anything quick, but everything in between is going to be able to do it. So if you're looking at that curl flat and he's 30, that's why a lot of people run this flood play, because they're running about a 15-yard out route that splits where they're supposed to be. So if that's the case, what you're going to see is that the user is going to have to cover that if he knows that's coming, and that leaves the middle of the field open. So if you know that's the case, then you're basically going to be able to hit this in route. So when you have an out and an in route, you're allowing yourselves to attack in spots that they're just not going to put any of those 9 players. So if you slow the game down and say, what are they trying to accomplish? And, I know that's hard mid-game, but if you have a plan in your mind that says, okay, they're dropping 9, but they're doing it out of a cover 3 shell, you should know where the 9 are going to go for the most part, because most people aren't going to take 3 layers of zones. They really can't, right? Because of the fact that you only can set a hard flat and a blue zone and a purple zone to 2 different levels. They'd have to use the other one. So that intermediate spot's a good place to attack. And then if the user goes there, having something that comes from the opposite side is a good way. So those are probably the best suggestions, at least from a conceptual standpoint. And also, bombing them over the top if they're not changing their outside shell. Knowing what shell they're in and bombing them is also a good thing, because they could put all 11 people in coverage. If they don't change the outside shell, you still can bomb them. So want to make sure that that was addressed there. Sumi Trap, I'm not sure how you're running your defense. You're saying that you have a hard time setting your defense up in 2-4-5 odd. 2-4-5 odd is actually one of the easier ones to set up, because it's, at least the way we teach it. Because, I don't want to give it out, but watch it. It's something that's really, really quick to set up. So try to relook at that and see what's going on. It should only be 2 adjustments, and one's pre-snap. So I think maybe just to go back and kind of review that would be the best suggestion, in my opinion. All right, we're pretty much getting towards the end here. I'll ask the last couple questions. I see Mobutta98. He's asking about how do I get my user to consistently react to the ball. My question for you is, who are you using? If you're using a linebacker, they're not going to react, because they just don't animate unless they have a lurker on them. That would be your first thing. So I would definitely say put a safety in that spot. If you are using a safety, I'm going to tell you go for height. Sometimes safeties that are shorter aren't going to react to the balls like your taller players. Like Chancellor animates almost every single time at 6'3". But if you get somebody like, I'll even say the Bo Jackson strong safety, I tried him out. He wasn't animating as much for me as Chancellor was. So I do think there's a height, type of, and a body type, obviously, Bo Jackson being, a little bit shorter, but more compressed. I think that he may not have that same reaction time to it. So look at the players that you're using, and that is probably the first place to start. I don't know what mode you're in, so that's probably the best advice I have for you there. All right, guys, it looks like we're out of questions. Again, I do this every Thursday at 3 o'clock. So as you go throughout the week, please make sure to go ahead and write those questions down, bring them in here. Love to answer them for you. Especially with the new patch coming out, that'll be a nice opportunity that if things come up, we can definitely address that in here. Books is on Saturday, and then Banks does it on Tuesday nights. So definitely you can hit one of them up as well. We give you 3 opportunities to ask us whatever question we can answer for you. And if we don't have answers, you can obviously see that we lab with you and try to do our best to get you those answers when we can. So we do appreciate it. As a reminder, again, guys, just drop Nini's game plan. I strongly urge you guys to check this out. I felt that, going through this, labbing with him, that this is a really fun offense, something that, it's different than we have. I think it definitely gives you the opportunity to stay ahead of your opponent by running and passing, and definitely something that you can complement a lot of the other things that we've done in our website, right? So in order to get that game plan, it's just $9.95 for subscription. You not only get that one, but you get everybody's that's on our website. You get defense from Drini, you got defense from Pick'em. We had defense early in the year with the Detroit Lions. We also had a ton of offense as well. So check those guys out. You definitely get better just by doing the $9.95. And if you want a little bit more content, we do have a second tier that does give you a lot of different perks when it comes to our film study, our meta buster, our route combo Bible, a lot of things that just give you that little bit extra to really get your game to the next level. So check us out. Again, appreciate all of you that participated today, and we'll catch you on the next one.